Hey, Crystal Maiden here, and welcome to part 16 of Wind Waker. So, now that we've finally beaten the bird, by the way, I'm pretty sure that if you don't get that heart container, you'll miss out on it permanently, because after this point, you won't be able to go back to the rooftop. The floor will unload. Like, you'll never be able to go into that Helmarock King Tower ever again, for some weird reason. So that's a pretty bad developer oversight. Like, there's a heart container that can be lost forever. Good idea to get that. By the way, speaking of heart containers, you can actually collect heart containers with your sword in this game. This is the first time that Ganon has called himself Ganondorf. Like, before this point he's just been called Ganon, which is supposed to be the name for his pig form. The original Japanese text for this has Ganon say that the sword sealed away his demon tribe, meaning his monsters. Ignoring the fact that we've still been seeing monsters all game, this line makes a lot more sense than the English translation, since Link's getting a sword returned the monsters in the castle to life. So, it wasn't really a matter of sealing away Ganon himself, because he was there from the very beginning of the game, doing stuff. It's more that like, the monsters aren't sealed away anymore. But again, I don't really get why that really means anything, because there's been monsters all over Hyrule the whole game. What difference does it make if the monsters in Hyrule Castle specifically were freed? Like, it's not like those monsters can go from Hyrule to the Great Sea. Like, apparently it's only the boat that can use those light portals for some reason. Look! It's Tetra! Being a badass! Oh, she's finally doing something! Never mind. I mean, I get that she's against the King of Evil. What the hell is she supposed to do? But still, like, this is the only time she's ever done anything of action in this game. And, like, look at this. Like, this is a pretty cool revelation. Aside from what it does to her character later on. Honestly, I think it would have been better if they didn't make her Zelda. The Italian release of the game makes this plot twist very obvious right from the start, because Tetra was called Dazzle, an anagram of Zelda, because it was spelled D-A-Z-E-L. And this is much more of a plot twist than with Chip, because here, the plot actually twists. Because if she wasn't Zelda, then she probably would have been able to actually do something in the plot, rather than what happens to her later. By the way, Valu's Hylian texts pretty soon after this say that Valu knows that Ganon can't be destroyed with just wrath and fire. So why'd Valu even bother then? Like, this is just pointless. I mean, it looks cool, but Valu himself knows that he didn't defeat Ganon with that, so why did he bother? Like they didn't help them at all. Why'd he waste his breath? I guess this humanizes Tetra because naturally she fainted after everything that happened. But she's supposed to be a badass pirate captain. And again, if she has the Gossip Stone, shouldn't she be aware of all this? Why is she so surprised by any of this? Should she... I don't know. Do you think Link would have told her about all this? This is unnecessary. we didn't really need to see that, I think. Oh well. But yeah, it's weird, like, she knew that Link was in the Forsaken Fortress about to rescue his sister again. So she must have been spying on him at least a little. Why is she so surprised by Valu showing up and everything? Again, I don't think this is a very good decision for how to deal with her, because, like, it makes her more important, but it also makes her less important, because maybe she could have actually done something if she was able to say the pirate captain. I think this is really cool. Like, you actually see Tetra point out that the King of the Red Alliance has been using the Gossip Stone without her permission, when it was her who gave Link the stone. And no one's ever really pointed out how weird it is that the King of the Red Alliance has been able to talk to Link like he has his own Gossip Stone, even though he should be in the form of a boat and has no hands. So that was good foreshadowing. I'm glad they lampshaded that. I like that evil sideways smirk that she has there. Kind of reminds me of Midna. If you look at the eyes of the boat here, you'll see that they look kind of dead. Wish I'd remembered to actually show that off. I like the music that plays here. Although it kind of sounds ominous. It makes the king sound like a villain, which is actually a pretty good red herring. It makes the plot intriguing, and I love her sass there. Like her pose and everything like that. Her voice clip. I like her voice. But yeah, it changes the music appropriately, and I like how it gives him a full name and everything. And Tetra's pose there is pretty awesome. And yup, that was the boat. So all of the spirits knew this, and he was a boat, and like that's why the boat looks so dead when you first arrive here. Because he left the boat and he came here. So our exposition fairy was a ghost the whole time. Honestly, I think it would have been more interesting if the music at the start was actually telling you something and he became a villain. I think it would have been really interesting if the exposition fairy turned out to be the bad guy. Like, if he turned out like the villain was using you all along, sort of thing. And like maybe he was being lied to by Ganon or brainwashed into thinking that maybe he could fix everything. Maybe he wanted his old kingdom be lived in again. But no, instead we just get him as a boring good guy. Like that's my main problem with the King of the Red Lions is he's so boring. Like he's inoffensive, but he's just so boring. Like he's like Kaepora Gaebora, only he doesn't say, "Do you want to hear this again?" and have yes be the default option. Like, so he's such a forgettable exposition fairy. At least he doesn't tell you the obvious, like Navi, and not tell you what you need to know. But it's been forever since I first played this game, so I don't really remember if he didn't tell me what I need to know at any point. I like this bit here. Like, I had such nostalgia when I saw this for the first time. Like, I just loved how they actually played the music that plays on the Link to the Past title screen, and they have a remix of the Link to the Past title theme music. So, Tetra becomes Zelda, and she loses her tan for some reason. This got some people a little concerned. There was actually concept art showing her with a tan, but I guess they decided to give up on that. Even though I think she would have looked better, to be honest. It's weird, because if you look up in the Hyrule Castle, you can see a picture of Zelda surrounded by pirates. Only they're not pirates, they're Hyrule Castle workers. And you see this exact design of Zelda in Minish Cap, which happened earlier in the timeline. So you'd think that that picture would be of Minish Cap Zelda, except none of the pirate-looking Zelda servants appear in Minish Cap. So, like, I guess that picture was of a past Zelda we never get to see in the timeline. Cause it's weird. They're portraying everyone with different art style. Like, except for the Link statue in Hyrule Castle, that seems to still look kind of Ocarina of Time-ish. Except without blocky polygonal graphics. But yeah, I don't really like this, because this is basically just a waste of a character. Oh, just tell the badass pirate captain to stay here and do nothing. There's no bathroom in here or anything. There's nothing for her to do. There's no books, and even if there were, I don't think Tetra would appreciate reading them. What is she going to do when she's waiting here? What is she going to... I hope this place isn't airtight so she doesn't run out of air. And, like... Why is she... I mean... This is so stupid. I mean, she has a heart. She's shown that since the beginning of the game. But it just comes off as her being a different person when she transforms into Zelda. Like, they might as well have just had this character show up and reveal herself to be the daughter of the king. And look at that pose! That is such a stark contrast from the badass, sassy pose she had at the beginning of that cutscene. Here, like, she just literally looks like, oh, I'm a dainty princess, oh, save me. Whatever am I going to do? What a waste of a character. And I'm not even complaining that it's sexist, although I guess it could be intentional. But I don't really care about that because it's like it's a video game. You're kind of missing the point of a game if you're complaining about that. Like, of course that's going to be a problem, but there are other problems with plots to focus on. I'm just more upset that she wasted a character. Like, why couldn't she have come with us? Why did she have to get a new design? Why? Like, they just had to follow tradition, didn't they? Like, never mind the fact that the whole point of this game was to break tradition. Because you had, like, the ocean instead of Hyrule. You had Hyrule literally buried under the sea. And abandoned. You'd think that would be symbolic. By the way, this exposition lasts really long, and it's especially glaring because it comes out of nowhere. Like, it's mentioned, sort of, in the intro cutscene, but it's like this takes a pretty long time, and it just comes out of nowhere at this point in the game. Like, can't he talk about this after we've beaten the first two temples? This is probably the longest bit of exposition in the whole game. Obviously, I'm going to be doing some stalling before coming to the first temple. Because, honestly, the temples are some of the worst parts of the game. Especially the eye stream that is the Earth Temple. So I'm going to be getting some upgrades, doing a few side quests, showing off that this guy has gotten a symbolic haircut to show off how he's changed. Although you think that making something as dangerous as bombs more easily accessible would have negative side effects. I mean, like, rich people having access to them, and thus powerful people, that's kind of worrying, because they can do something with it, but like, he makes it able to be afforded by the random civilians. Like, this guy could get a hold of bombs now. Maybe he was being responsible by pricing the bombs. I mean, like, I'm thinking about this from a more widespread perspective. And even from a gamer's perspective, do you really need the bomb shop to have affordable bombs when you can just literally change the time of day from day to night and go to the Beetle shop? And, well, the Windfall Island one only sells 2 arrows. Like, he sells 10 arrows and 30 arrows, and then bait. That's kind of funny. But, yeah, you can just go to any Beetle ship and just buy bombs there. You don't even need to have the bomb shop owner have a heel-face turn and learn. Like, learn his lesson. Like, it's satisfying, but I really like the music that plays here. Like, I love how mysterious it is, and the sitar that plays. Like, I love the Indian sitar. So, like, normally, like, in A Link to the Past, the potions were made by a witch, but this guy isn't a witch. He's more like a mad scientist, so how? Like, I thought potions were supposed to be magical. And choo-choos are magical, but that over-the-top reaction combined with the animation that he plays Like where he just casually has his hand on the bottom of his head. It's like he's trying to be casual, except his line was so melodramatic. Like, I just think that's pretty amusing.